Yeah, and I mean, that's what a lot of these drafts come down to for these teams, are the lesser of not just 2 evils, but 3, 4, 5, 6 evils that you have to pick from, and which one do you want to try to counterplay against, which one do you just not want to deal with outright. It's really a choice of 1,000 cuts, unfortunately, for a lot of these teams in draft. So even more important now is what you ban and what you save, and obviously, you know, both of these teams have some standouts for sure. The question is, how many of them can you get rid of, and what does that leave you to play against when you hit the battlefield?
Well, to my previous point, Gambit is going to be one of the chalices we are not taking a sip out of today. Rival opening things up with a Mantis Protect, and we have seen Mantis often coming through, and I think that might also work kind of in reverse from the Elsa. You know how I talk about when you see the Elsa Protect, there's got to be a Mantis ban to follow from the other side. I think there's going to need to be an Elsa ban that comes out from the side of AAAd, but before we get to that, they are going to mirror that Mantis Protect, and I got to imagine, yep, there we go. There is going to be that Elsa ban from Rival. So a good read early on here from Rival.
Yeah, and it feels like Rocco was kind of expecting it to come down the pipeline, locked in the Psylocke on the early setup here. Elsa off the table completely for both sides, though. AAAd take her out as well, and Rival bans away the Daredevil, too. So, you know, obviously some new, fresh tape for them to watch here from tonight's matchups, and they definitely paid attention, as they will also take the Vanpool away from Tuba. So Rival going straight for the throat here in this draft.
Yeah, I kind of love it. One-sided Loki for the side of AAAd, I love a little bit less. I mean, Loki is very strong right now, but you know, he's strong for a variety of reasons. Taking a one-sided Vanpool duel on the other side, though, I don't know that, you know, the God of Mischief is going to have the stuff to be able to deal with that one. We're going to see a Daredevil ban coming out to round things out here for AAAd, meaning that no one is going to be donning the Matt Murdock today, and you know what? I'm okay with that. As a strat player, the less of him, the better.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. And we've seen a lot of Daredevil action, so definitely time to change it up for these duelists here. You know, the one bright spot to the Loki save for AAAd is the only strategist they don't have access to is Gambit. So definitely you get your run of what you want to copy, but yeah, you know, not the best save necessarily, but there is a bright spot here as they are going to lock things in and get ready for this map 1. Yet again, AAAd, this is their second series of the night here, and the first one up against Reject. We will see if Rival will test them here as well, while Rival looking to break that 1-1 record they are standing on right now as well. So again, it's another situation where you really want to see both of these teams win, because Rival needs another win, and AAAd needs to prove that Reject was not just a fluke for them.
Yeah, before this, both of these teams were kind of drifting towards that middle of the pack, but AAAd have found themselves drifting a little bit further up the pecking order, and if you're Rival, you definitely don't want to let them get away with that. If anything else, you want to tag along and try and find your way up towards the top as well, and a win is going to be the only way to ensure that that ends up happening here. As we kick things off on Grove, and there are the Mantises from both sides. Mantis-I, I'm not quite sure of the plural of Mantis. It's probably just Mantises, but no smite on the Captain America. That's an interesting look here. AAAd, even without the Daredevil, are still going to be coming out with a dive. Illicit not able to use that Daredevil. Going to be just as effective on the Psylocke, I am sure, but early on repelled there by Zeph.
Yeah, definitely a case of a lot of AAAD's players on other heroes they didn't get to run against Reject here. Tuba on the Venom, but they're going to play right on through there. Illicit on the Psylocke, going to grab a double KO right away. There's Zeph trying to even the odds for Rival. Over onto that Star-Lord he's kind of known for. They will at least get a couple of KOs here, but AAAd going to come out the other side with the value here and almost the capture point for themselves here. Just got to chase the last bits of Rival off, and there it is. First cap goes to AAAD. Several heroes, 50% and ready to go for maybe an ult fight in the next team.
Oh, good cleanup damage there from Zeph to take down Tuba. So there is going to be at least a way forward for Rival to get themselves back on top of this waterfall and utilize this high ground. If they can find another Elim, they can potentially get themselves on the point there. And Illicit, that is the best Elim you could possibly ask for right now, because now Proxies doesn't have to have this head on a swivel, doesn't have to worry about the Psylocke coming in and taking an unwanted duel, and Rivals now 5-man strong on the point here, looking to try and find the flip, but as Tuba comes back into the fold, wants to stand his ground.
Yeah, looking to try and clip those claws right off of Triple AD, but Rocco's got some claws here too on the Mantis. Will find Zeph Star-Lord, sending him back to spawn for now. Triple AD still in control of the capture point here. Lumi looks like they did find something off of the Jeff ult here, and now Rival gonna come through with some KOs here, looking to try and secure this retake here. Closet over onto the Jeff ult will find, I believe that's the Venom of HK Mario here, and the Invis as well. Double KO off of the Jeff ult will keep Triple AD in control.
HK Mario just found the Feast of the Abyss, dove right into the Jeff's mouth like it was a sleeping bag. I don't know that I've ever seen that before in my life, and you know what else I'm not seeing? I'm not seeing Rival Esports getting any capture percentage as Triple AD off the back of that Jeff ultimate from Quasit are able to repel this early rally from Rival. And now Zeph once again has to try and look for an opening frag if they want to try and get themselves back into this one.
Yeah, it felt like Rival was kind of finding the flow, and then suddenly they had the rug pulled out from under him from a very hungry Shark that found a couple of solid KOs off that one. So now Triple AD firmly in the driver's seat here. Proxies, though, on the Mantis, all looking to try and get Rival back in the fight here. Triple AD gonna throw everything they've got at Rival to try and close out the point. Early here, Soul Resurgence gone for both sides of the board here, though it is gonna be 6 on that Vanpool there, finding 1. Winsker forced down the invisible boundary here to try and close things out. Illicit and Tuba gonna pick up right where they left off in the series against Reject here. Right back in your KO feed. A double for the Psylocke here and a double for the Venom as well. Very successful overtime fight here for Triple AD, but they gotta close the door on him here. Overtime ticking away. I do see a Doctor Strange over on the side of Rival, and I don't think the portal's gonna make it in time. It does not, and Triple AD will walk away with point number 1.
And I can tell you that point was no fluke whatsoever. It looks clinical from Triple AD. Illicit is always there on the follow-up or being the one to lead the charge. It doesn't really matter because either way, Rival Esports are constantly on the back foot there and not doing the best job, to be completely honest with you, of repelling whatever comes after his initial opening salvo. There was a slight layering of the strategist ultimates, but I believe that was forced out by Tuba using that Feast of the Abyss, Proxies, and I believe I'm not quite sure if it was Lael on the Invis previously as well. I think both had to use their strategist ultimates just to be able to live through that, but it just wasn't enough, you know? Once that's gone, Illicit in the neutral, just able to clip with that Sonic Crossbow, get a couple of headshots in there, a little bit more damage down range, and there's nothing Rival can really do about it. They gotta keep this guy in check somehow, some way, and so far, I ain't seeing it.
Yeah, it feels like they're being blocked almost around every turn by Triple AD here. The 1 or 2 times they had some breakthroughs going, immediately shut back down. An ult comes through for Triple AD, or they just outright win the fight here. So Rival gotta start putting it together here. Gotta find a way to turn things around. On point number 2, it was a 0 to 100 for Triple AD. They were never able to secure the retake here. So Rival got to get on the board here. No smite on the Steve Rogers here. The football cap here, leading the charge for the rest of Triple AD and diving right on in to throw some haymakers here. Tuba gonna follow him in on the dive, and Feast of the Abyss already ready to go here. Point not even unlocked, not even contesting for it, and they are ready for a scrap here. Tuba will take out Liel on that Invis. 1 KO for Triple AD, and they're gonna grab this first cap here, while Rival gonna try to dust themselves off. A solid opener yet again for Triple AD.
I gotta call out one mistake there. That's not actually Steve Rogers from No Smite. That's Brett, what's his name, from ESU. Tuba with a chop there onto Proxies, and that is about as clean as it's going to get. Illicit with some damage there onto HK Mario as well, and yeah, Triple AD just able to snuff out any momentum that Rival Esports hope to try and amass, and even in the neutral here, they're finding all of these stagger elims like that one there onto Zeph, who was holding on to that Galactic Legend, but we're gonna have to wait for that Legend to come out another day, as it won't be coming out today. Rival Esports still trying to get themselves composed here, but Illicit not gonna allow them the room to do so. Dance the Butterfly again forcing reactions.
Yeah, big damage coming down. I do see Lumi on the Jeff ult. I don't think there's any KOs coming through on that one. Quasit got it's Jeff down as well here, trying to fire back against Rival. Tuba will pick up the KO onto the Shark, though. Lumi sent back to spawn for now as Triple AD again firmly into the driver's seat here, winning the multi-front war, but there's 6 again on the Vanpool. Will stop for the selfie here too. HK Mario's gonna pick up 1. Quasit at least trying to make it an even fight here for Triple AD, but now Rival threatening to grab this point here. No smite away from the point on the Captain America, gets the Freedom Charge down and runs it right back to the point. They are able to defend it and chase off Rival yet again here. Multi-front war being won, whether it's an ult fight or a neutral battle. Triple AD seems to have Rival's number here.
I mean, I like how No Smite saw that the cap was about to come through, and he was like, oh, no, 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 you don't, and pops the Freedom Charge just to make sure he gets back in time to snuff that one out. Don't worry, your team already had your back there, uses that one to try and keep this full momentum going, and Tuba is so deep inside of the enemy spawn right now that he's practically on their team at this point in time, but there is a spy among us, and we have got to deal with him before we can move forward, as Illicit is tearing up everybody who dares touch foot onto the point here. Feast of the Abyss coming out from HK Mario, and will he find enough to snack on? No, it's going to be only a nibble, and not nearly enough to satiate his hunger.
Ults for Rival going offline one at a time here. The team goes dark, but HK Mario will find one onto Rocco here. Mantis back in the spawn while AAAd is trying to close this out in one last overtime fight. Tuba on the Venom here, played right through, getting bamped out in the draft phase this time. A solid performance from them. Dance of the Butterflies almost ready to go for Illicit if they need it here. I do believe that's a strange portal coming in from 6 now on the side of Rival. They're going to try to fight this out to the end. There's the Dance of the Butterflies from Illicit. We'll find 2 and looking for even more here as AAAd looking to close out a Krakoa. 2 points to none here. There'll be one more KO for Tuba as well. HK Mario gonna follow the rest of their team back to spawn, and that is it for Krakoa. AAAd will have it.
You could take away the Daredevil from Melissa, but if he picks up the Psylocke, he is looking just as deadly, and where do you go from here, right? Like, you're trying to snuff out AAAD's dive strategies by target banning some of their strongest heroes, but it doesn't matter because the second strongest heroes still seem to be stronger than anything that you're bringing to the table, and rightfully so. Illicit will be walking away with the MVP. How many final blows did he manage to accumulate there? Because we gotta be in double digits there. Yep, right on the nose. 10 final hits for Illicit, and for a map that went by that quick, that's not nothing.
No, for 2 points that were both 0 to 100, no retakes, yeah, nothing to sneeze at. Actually, I was gonna guess 12, so I guess I wasn't too far off, but gotta point out, No Smite on the Captain America did not get KO'd one time this map. So Steve Rogers, or his ESU undercover persona, definitely plays right on through here. Big stuff from all corners of this AAAd roster from top to bottom. They all put in the work here and come out the other end the winners here. So, you know, again, we said going into this match, right, AAAd had to show us it wasn't just a fluke to take the win against Reject, and I think that map alone shows you that definitely AAAd does have some teeth for sure.
Oh, yeah, and Rival Esports now know that for sure, as they have felt the full weight of those teeth sinking, breaking the skin. I gotta be honest, by the way, you already caught me. I forgot the name of the skin for the Captain America, because I think it's Brett Hendricks. But he's got the name Rogers on his back because he goes undercover but puts his real name on his back. He's not a very good undercover agent, I have to say.
You know, I wouldn't normally send a super soldier for a job that, you know, somebody coming out of the Red Room, you know, trained, or an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. can handle. Maybe not my choice for secret agent jobs.
But furthermore, why are we allowing a super soldier who's all juiced up on super soldier serum to play college football? That seems like it should be in violation of several rules. Surely there's got to be someone, you know, putting a stop to that, right? Like, where's the outcry? Why is Captain America just dunking on college kids when he's got literal super soldier serum developed by Howard Stark? I'm not sure what the timeline actually is, if that's true in that particular timeline where he ends up at ESU, but still, it's an outrage.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, definitely good looks for Captain Rogers there on the battlefield. No Smite, no KOs on that first one there. AAAd will take the first map. We will take a very short break, and we will get back to map number 2, AAAd versus Rival, right after this.
Clear the way! Feel the pull! Disappear!
Well, rivals, and welcome back. Day 3 of the Asia Pacific preseason here in this matchup between AAAd and Rival Esports. AAAd taking a very, very confident map number 1, very much thanks to the likes of Brett Hendricks there, who I did hear an NCAA ruling. They are going to allow the Super Soldier back onto the pitch here as we go to Museum of Contemplation for map 2.
And well, hopefully Rival don't allow him to show up on the Museum of Contemplation as well, because, I mean, he seems pretty immortal. 0 casualties for No Smite on the Captain America, just to be clear on who we're actually talking about here, because you and I both know who that is. It says Rogers on his jersey, but that's enough of this bit. All right, we're beating a dead horse at this point in time, and AAAd looking to try and get themselves on the board correctly this time, properly, not relying on any C9s or any slip-ups from Rival, but just pure raw skill that you and I both know firsthand that they are in possession of.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch map 1, definitely you are now aware that AAAd don't just win on the C9 plays, they can win it outright. 2-0-100 points for them, so a very, very solid performance here on map 1. Does not seem like this being their second match of the night has slowed them down at all. In fact, they may even look even tougher than they did in their opener, so definitely looking for them to keep that going here on Museum of Contemplation. But this is Rival's pick, of course, so they are going to play on their turf, so that's 1+ in Rival's back pocket. But you know, I gotta ask, that first draft phase, Rival pretty much watched what AAAd did in the match against Reject earlier tonight and banned out exactly what they played against Reject and what helped them. They still did not pull out the win after that. So now the question is, what does this draft look like for Rival?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't hate it if it looked identical, even though it didn't work out, but, like, you gotta just bite the bullet in some way, shape, or form, and I think the Psylocke is the easier of the two to try and deal with, and I would much rather, you know, try and see them find an answer for that just in raw gameplay than have to face down the wrath of Illicit on the Daredevil. I think even against the Psylocke, even having just fallen to that, you're still like, okay, but no Daredevil. Like, bro is broken in anyone's hands, especially Illicit's. The Psylocke, though, maybe a little bit of a skill differential there, but you know, in these situations, why I kind of like the meta right now, where we have sort of these branching paths. Sure, it starts with the Elsa or it starts with the Gambit, but from there on out, you know, you kind of get the opportunity for these teams to explore their own playstyles, play what they are good at, and more often than not, the better team should win.
Yeah, there's an interesting kind of flow chart that plays out over the course of each draft, and it kind of gives you an idea of where the matchup is headed, even just a couple of picks into the draft phase. So always kind of entertaining to watch these teams run it down. But that's kind of the question now: is where do the bans and the picks lie for Rival as they are on the back foot here? One map to AAAd already. You know, Rocco, tough to ban out. You take away the Elsa. He's got a Star-Lord in his back pocket that we didn't even see on Krakoa because he was on the Mantis. So, you know, a lot of questions here, a lot of changes gonna need to be made. But, you know, I'm kind of with you. I think that Rival definitely are banning probably the highest value targets they possibly can.
Right, like, I think they just kind of need to play this map into their style a little bit better. You know, I wouldn't hate, like I said, I wouldn't hate to see an identical ban phase from the last one. Both teams gonna go straight for the Gambit ban and a Mantis Protect coming out from Rival as well. Same thing that we saw on Krakoa. Not really reinventing the wheel here, so we're kind of going down those same steps, and yeah, just keep at it, my friends.
Yeah, I mean, very different map, lots of opportunities for them to play a very different composition here. So, you know, as far as the draft is concerned, it can be kind of a it ain't broke, so don't fix it sort of situation here. AAAd gonna focus a little bit more on the strategist here. They will take away the Loki from Rival, but they'll save a Mantis for themselves. So gonna be a lot of soul resurgence, a lot of damage boosting here. Because again, if you can't get access to the Gambit, Mantis, definitely not a bad one to have in the back pocket. Rival gonna keep that Elsa locked down against AAAd. Cannot give that back to Rocco because they've already seen what he is capable of on it earlier tonight against Reject.
Gonna see the Elsa bans, and there's that Daredevil ban again. So yeah, Rival, they're most likely gonna have to deal with Illicit Psylocke here somehow, some way, whether it's like just an Amor to try and like pepper her down with the squids, but that's not really the most reliable way. All that really can do is like alert you to her presence if she's off on an angle. The problem is that Psionic Crossbow, right? It just kind of does so much damage. It literally is just like a shotgun with a different name, right? Like, and with the combos that you can get with the shurikens as well, it's so easy to just burst out a Vanguard, especially a Venom that gets a little bit too cute, you know? It's something that you're gonna have to watch out for, and if Illicit is at the helm of that hero again, which that's not even a guarantee, because honestly, his bag goes deeper than that.
Yeah, definitely a player with a deep hero pool. Exactly what you want to see in this league here. Definitely don't want to get caught off guard in the draft phase and have absolutely nothing to go to. One difference I do notice in this draft is that Rival are going to take Daredevil in. They do get the Daredevil save here, so I don't know if that will be the turning point for them, but I do like that they're going to be able to bring DD to the map here. But again, you know, you just don't know if it's going to be enough to turn things around for them. Of course, AAAd taking map number 1 here on match point and ready to close things out. Museum of Contemplation is where they finish off Reject as well. So they've already picked up 1 win here tonight. The question is, can they do it again and close out their second series? That would put them at a 3-1 record and firmly at the top of the leaderboards, at least in the top 3 or so of Asia Pacific.
And can they do it more decisively than last time? Like I said, no C9s, just give me a pure beatdown B2A, and just kind of like we saw on Krakoa. If they can do that here on Museum of Contemplation, they can silence any doubt and maybe rebound properly today. You know, going back-to-back with 2 wins on the day, that's definitely the way that you want to get that rebound after that first loss a couple days ago. But AAAd on the defensive side, leveraging the Mantis Loki group, full team up coming out here for AAAd and Rival. They're going to be coming out with the Ultron. Interesting look right out the gate. A lot of damage, a lot of hit scan damage, and a lot of Mantis damage boost damage for that Ultron. So I don't hate this from Rival Esports either.
Yeah, definitely going to come out the gate swinging here as they are on the attack here first, and already out the gate fairly comfortably here, round in the first corner. Not a bad start for them, able to at least push AAAd back far enough to get some distance here. But of course, we're going to see a lot of HK Mario up close and personal with AAAd, and Lumi out the side hallway, a double KO on the Doctor Strange. Six will pick up 1 on the Punisher as well. HK Mario gets 1. There is 1 KO coming through for AAAd, but it is huge here for Rival on the opener. It is going to be almost a complete ace onto AAAd, and that is a lot of free real estate. A solid opening salvo from Rival.
That's aura from Lumi. Like, homie just walked right up, slow walked right up, slow rolled straight to the back line, Maelstrom of Madness, boom, you're gone. And now there's suddenly just no defense. There might be an opportunity for AAAd to get a touch here, and No Smite is going to do just that, but the healers are lagging a little bit behind. Regen domain forced out early on, and a Rage of Ultron, once those greens are gone, your backline is going to be under so much pressure, but Illicit, a firm anti-AI stance, taking down Zep, tells them to pick up a pencil.
Quasit really trying to keep the sustain going, even when the Regen domain goes down. Invisible boundary goes up, but it can't stop the might of 6 here. Triple KO making a quad there on the Punisher. Judge, Jury, and Executioner here, wiping out all of AAAd yet again. Rival now on the move, 4:45 on the clock, and they've already got checkpoint number 1 locked and in their pocket.
Appreciate that camera cut to HK Mario, just giving Illicit a firm backhand. Getting a little bit of retribution for Zeft off of that one. And AAAd, I like the swaps that they're making, but it comes at the end of point A, so they can't really leverage any of the angles to get Illicit set up where he wants to be. Rocco now going to be the one taking up the Mantis, and I mean, it still looks good overall for AAAd. They have a decent ult bank here, but they need to try and stop this Batmobile before it gets up this hill, because that's where it starts to get a little bit scary, right? Like, it's one fight away from getting the full cap here.
Yeah, Rival could very quickly gain some momentum here. Illicit, though, gonna look to try and put a very quick lid on that. Insong Inferno is ready to go. It's gonna be the Strangling Prison from No Smite now. 6 plays right on through it, chews through the Groot there. 1 more KO for the Frank Castle on the side of Rival Esports, and 1 ult down from AAAd, but plenty more where that came from. Illicit will pick off 6, though. Insong Inferno to follow it up here, trying to cash in the sparks. Will get some damage down, but not enough to convert to KOs yet. So AAAd kind of doing this one at a time, all thing, trying to poke some holes in Rival and see where the weaknesses are. But so far, Rival still standing tall here, 330, and just 1 more quarter of the way to checkpoint number 2.
Very aggressive invisible boundaries, getting that with a Soul Resurgence, and there is that final stand coming out there from 6, and Tuba now popping the Meteor M. A lot of ultimates coming out. You were saying they were doing it 1 at a time. Well, now the ult bank has been forced to be drained as Rival Esports leveraging their advantage, and this Rage of Ultron just peppering Winsgar, and that is going to be the revenge of the AI. The robots are now fighting back, and Lumi with 1 little cleanup KO there onto Illicit, and there's No Smite down to clean up the triple for Zeft, and Rival Esports keeping this cart rolling on in. Winsgar going to make the swap over onto the Doctor Strange. There's an opportunity to get another touch here for AAAd, and they're going to take it, but the Batmobile just rolls right on through the portal, and it's going to be an interesting approach for AAAd to say the least.
Got Lumi right away, kidnapped right off of the point by Illicit, swapping over to the Wolverine. Quasit yet again copying the invisible boundary for AAAd to all hunker down under here with just a few meters left to go for Rivals to get yet another time refresh. Illicit slice and dice though, straight through the Sorcerer Supreme. Lumi back to square one for now here as AAAd looking to hold on here, trying to find a way to dig their heels in, but Rival definitely not giving up that easily. It is kind of the age of Ultron here from this Rival team. Zeph putting in some serious work here. Beast of the Abyss coming out from HK Mario, but there's just not a lot of follow-up here for Rival to convert on, so they will back off for now. But Rival again on the move here, looking so much cleaner on map number 2. Last stand coming in for Illicit here, and 6 back on the final judgment will chase down Quasit there. Loki offline. That does force out the invisible boundary, but if you're not in the boundary, you're not getting the heals from it, and 6 will fight yet another one onto the Sorcerer Supreme. Rocco, though, trying to even things out, will take down the Ultron, so they will at least clap back here. But right now, it is a back and forth with Rival just barely hanging on to this last few inches before they'll get this last minute 30 time refresh.
Peppering down Scuba there. It comes off the back of Lumi just getting access to the backline, getting that far forward with the Doctor Strange and popping the Maelstrom of Madness. Oh, hello, Rocco. I didn't realize you were still lurking here. That's, this is our cart. This is our point. You're gonna have to find your way back home, little buddy. Proxy's gonna help you along your way and send you back on. Rejoin the rest of AAAd way over there at the end of point C, the checkpoint. And now this is where things get interesting, as the cart is going to transform into the Doctor Strange. A very difficult cart to push, as you gotta have yourself completely on top of it. And, you know, Doctor Strange and his big fat head do tend to obscure some of your line of sight as a healer, so your Vanguards have to play quite safe from here on out, and that was not safe at all as Winsker with the force pull there onto Zeph, and that is a 1-2 punch that is going to knock Rival Esports flat on their backs.
Yeah, they will at least manage to pick up the Mantis, but feet not quite steady on the Doctor Strange quite yet here for Rival, as they are looking for this last checkpoint here. You know, again, we saw AAAd on this map earlier, but we did not see them play this far into it. Lumi coming in for the Eye of Agamotto will find Winsker, and they'll convert it into 1 KO. Maelstrom of Madness to finish off the invis here. Quasit goes to the spawn room, courtesy of the Rage of Ultron from Zeft as well. So picking up more KOs here is Rival, and with a minute 45 on the clock and just half of a checkpoint left to go here, they are threatening to close out this map, but Illicit out of nowhere will finish off Zeft. Age of Ultron over here for Rival Esports, as AAAd trying to get a handle on this match, but I don't know, it feels like there is slowly starting to slip through their fingers here.
Gets the butterfly now from Illicit, and gonna take down the invis, and another onto 6 as well, and this should be where the card stops, at least for now. But there's going to be a minute 20 in the time bank for Rival Esports to get a little bit more progress here, potentially find the full cap. But you're right, it's going to look pretty scary here from here on out, as Rival Esports, yeah, they got a couple ults to their name, yeah, they got a minute to build up more, but AAAd have both Strategist ultimates. They've got a Feast of the Abyss, and they've got the It's Jeff, which, you know, I guess all 3 Strategist ults, because we are in a triple strat world right now, trying to play some of this counter dive, and Feast of the Abyss coming out early on from Tuba, and Illicit is there with a follow-up. Gross, ew, disgusting. Love to see it, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is a triple strategist world, but Illicit is ruling it here as the sole duelist for AAAd, finding more KOs on Psylocke. But again, almost all the AAAd roster finding their comfy spot there in the KO feed, as it feels like AAAd has really run this third and final checkpoint here. They have really taken control back of this match. 30 seconds left to go for Rival to find an answer, find some way to get this Doctor Strange here to the end of the track. But time very quickly running out here, and AAAd have a lot of resources. The Mantis all coming out first here of those resources just to try and close out. 6, though, has one more final judgment ready to go here. Been a game changer for Rival, and now Rival will find 1. HK Mario picks up a KO here. Zep, 6, almost all of the Rival Esports members here now finding KOs of their own. Quasit is going to take out their strategist, though, but it doesn't matter. Rival plays right on through. Ultron the only one standing, and now in overtime, Rival have the run of the last bit of track here.
That's still a clutch play, though, from Quasit. You're going to give up a bit of cart progress here, but there's no teleport to get the strategist back to the front lines here, so there's not going to be enough healing. It's just going to be Zep with the drones trying to shore up all of the damage here. So if AAAd come out fast and hit hard, they should be able to stop the cart here and avoid a long stagger fight that's going to let the strategist complete the walk back.
Yeah, definitely going to be tricky here. A race to the finish for both teams for sure. Illicit got one more dance of the butterflies to dance here. We'll find proxies right away. Mantis offline. So rival strategists again having trouble mustering up to this last point here, but they still control the card, and it is still making some forward progress here as rival will bust right on through the AAA defense for one last time there. Lumi cleaning up Illicit, and rival will clear the map in overtime.
It's not often we even get to see point 3 on Museum of Contemplation, much less see a completion of it, but Rival Esports are able to make it work, and you know, a lot of that was off the back of that swift point A capture, being able to parlay that momentum into point B, and then still, like we said, you know, finding these elims, finding these cheeky teleport plays from Lumi on the Doctor Strange to keep that Doctor Strange interesting. I wonder, does Doctor Strange have any voice lines where he acknowledges that he is in duck form on this map? Because I haven't heard any. Nevertheless, I mean, duck form, Lumi is in rare form right now, all right, on the Doctor Strange. Bro is the driving force of the success on this this composition. I love what I'm seeing out of Rival.
I was going to say peak form for sure. From square one here on Museum of Contemplation, Lumi has been a big piece of Rival's success here on this map, and they are firmly right back in the fight in this series. So AAAd may run the gamut there on domination, but so far here on some convoy action, Rival have AAAd's number, and they are going to look to close this thing out. 4 minutes on the clock for AAAd. They've got to clear the whole map and then take it to extra rounds if they want to close this series out here. So a huge opportunity for Rival to take this thing to map number 3.
But they don't want to use all 4 of those minutes. They want to do it a lot more quickly. And you can tell because No Smite is back on that Captain America or Brett Hendricks, whoever you are, you imposter you. But he's going to be running alongside Tuba on the Venom. This is the classic dive composition that you used to see once upon a time. You know, back when dive was popular before we went through the poketing, as some people like to call it. I just made that up. I call it that.
You are some people, though, and some people do indeed call it the pokening here, but back in the full force is a dive, and in full force here, completing his move through the transfer portal. Brett Hendricks back on the field, everybody, for AAAd. No Smite back onto the cap that helped make a dent in that domination map on map 1 here. So now going to try to capture that magic again, but Rival on the move already. It's going to be a 1-for-1, but the Ultron will find 1 KO here. They are going to trade back and forth, but Six is going to try to take the lead for the Rival defense here over onto Phoenix for this defensive play here, and already almost 60 seconds away here. AAAd still just around that first corner, and Rival looking to just keep shoving them back into spawn.
And AAAd are trying to do essentially the same lineups that they played in the last time we saw this map, but they need to get someone on top of Six and try and pressure this Phoenix down. But right now, the only pressure being felt right now is by Tuba, who is just taking headshot after headshot from Six, and No Smite next on the chopping block will be able to get back to the rest of his team alive, and with his head still firmly intact, as Tuba is going to be coming back, still picking up the pieces of his off the ground. Six has been a menace as the Ensong Inferno nearly takes down Rocco, and unless you can dislodge this Phoenix, unless you can deal with him, you're not going to be able to round this corner.
No, and that is really just step number 1 in the rest of this map here, but Illicit is going to try to make it happen here. 1 on the Psylocke, make it 2, and Tuba back with a vengeance will find proxies on the Mantis as well here. Make it 3 for the Psylocke as AAAd will find the breakthrough they needed here. 2:15 on the clock as Lumi is revving up the Strange portal yet again here, and so many Doctor Strange plays from this Rival team here on map number 2, and looking to make yet another one here. Will go for the contest as half of AAAd's time is away now. Immediately snipes down the invis as soon as the boundary goes up, and Liel will put up Rival's boundary now as AAAd gonna dump the ult charge here. Every single ult they've got on the board, trying to break through, but only 1 KO so far coming through for Rival, and in fact it's a 1-for-1. Now No Smite on the Captain America will break through, taking down the Ultron, zapped back to spawn, and Listen will pick up another double KO here with just a minute 30 on the clock, and AAAd come up big here on the last point. Lumi does go for the eye. Magamoto will find Tuba, but they don't have the bodies to follow up on it, so Venom will stand here as AAAd under a minute and 30. They will find the breakthrough and are able to get that time refresh to stay in.
It's equal parts the Vibranium Energy Saw and Illicit's Katana that end up cutting Rival Esports back down to size on that recontest, but still a valiant effort nonetheless, and they're able to bleed out some of that time bank, but still nearly 4 minutes going into point B, but AAAd have to keep their foot on the gas and keep this momentum going as there's going to be a Soul Resurgence waiting to try and slow their roll here. Proxies needs to be focused down, that ult needs to be forced out, and Alyssa, I think, might need to go for another assassination. He's been so good at finding them here. Can he find another one here in the neutral? And better yet, will he have access to Rocco with a headshot there, taking down Proxies? Never mind, no assassination needed, just one quick, clean snipe.
Yeah, Rocco and Illicit now after that first checkpoint cleared. They are coming up big. Triple KO for the Psylocke on the side of AAAd now as they are on a roll here. That's a double for No Smite as well. Multi-KOs left and right for this AAAd team. The AAA, of course, standing for the triple KOs. They've been picking up all map long here as they are on an offensive tear. 250 on the clock, and they are definitely picking up some momentum.
And I think that shot from Rocco earlier denied the Soul Resurgence from coming out, because look at Proxy's ult charge. It's back down to 76%. Bro, I think it got it denied halfway through. Tuba going in for a dive there. Wants to try and pressure him down again, because surely AAAd have called that one out, and they are going to find 3 off the back of that Feast of the Abyss from Tuba. The Dance of the Butterfly. AAAd know exactly how much of their hands to play. Not overplay it, but find exactly what they need to keep this cart rolling, and now they are threatening another cap, and I gotta be honest, I don't think that the Doctor Strange teleport is back online, and Rival Esports aren't going to be able to deny the point B cap from coming through. They can try and walk right on through, but No Smite just holding up the shield, holding the door, the cap comes.
Yeah, beautiful body block there from No Smite. They secure the checkpoint. 3:30 on the clock to try and close this thing out. Every single fight now, AAAd stringing beautiful win after win together here. Rival gonna dump all the ults here to try and slow this roll, but they cannot stop this train that is AAAd. They will cash in a couple ults here to try and keep that train rolling here, but they hold on to a couple as well. I like that they're trying to hold some back here, but a couple of KOs gonna come through now for Rival here. They will fight back as this Doctor Strange back on the board here, and we are on the third and final leg of this map. AAAd gotta make this quick though. They want to have as much time as they can to get that advantage in extra rounds, because right now CB is looking like we might be getting another round of Museum of Contemplation.
I mean, Rival Esports doing a good job of finding some of these spawn KOs, not letting AAAd out the front door. And interesting that they're keeping up this pressure, because Quaza did actually get a pretty high value elim onto Proxies, scooped him up with a Jeff ult and brought him back into the spawn, and that is an insta KO. And without the Mantis there and still coming in on the walk back, there's an opening, and No Smite wants to try and seize that opportunity. As you can see, the back line split clean in half from the rest of the team there, but a good denial on the invisible boundary there coming out, and Rival Esports, they have everything they could possibly want, but Illicit is out for blood, wants revenge.
We've seen a lot of invisible boundaries get denied on this map too, over and over again, and now Rival Esports over and over in your KO feed. They'll find the break here. Lumi, grab that quick selfie on the Deadpool here, swapping off the Strange for now. Rival Esports calm the chaos a little bit, and with 2 minutes on the clock, they are in control here as AAAd are going to pick themselves up and dust themselves off, and that's kind of the name of the game for Rival right now. Obviously, they want to shut this down. They want to win the map here, but if they don't have to, or they don't have the ability to, they want to just suck up as much of the time as they possibly can, make this extra round that much easier. But Illicit again on the Dance of the Butterflies, gonna carve right through Rival. 4 members down, just HK Mario and Proxy the only ones left standing. With a minute 30, AAAd are gonna get this duck moving yet again.
Yeah, but they gotta use that and the Jeff ult just to do that much. I mean, I was half expecting Tuba to even invest the Feast of the Abyss just to make sure that if a Strategist ultimate was online, which thankfully it wasn't, aside from the Rage of Ultron, that you'd have the anti-heal to be able to help Illicit burst through. Thankfully, you don't need that, and you can carry it forward, but you don't really have anything to follow it up with now, so my question is going to be, how do you keep this pressure going? You only have a minute to try and do so, and you don't really have a lot of good tools coming up online. Maybe the Freedom Charge and Soul Resurgence can buy you some more time, but you need Alyssa to come up with another hero play, and Zeph says, no heroes today, it is only me. Once again, the Age of Ultron is upon thee.
Not just only Zeph, but his rage as well there. They find a couple members of AAAd. Zeph will get a running away Rocco as well, holding the Soul Resurgence there. And yeah, it does feel like AAAd are kind of stuck in this weird situation with the ults that they have, because Illicit's playing neutral for now, trying to build up that Dance of the Butterflies, but they just don't have enough oomph behind the ults that they've got here. So gonna have to let it fly though. 30 seconds left to go for AAAd to close out the last little bit of track here.
We saw briefly that No Smite is nestled somewhere into the back line, and Rival Esports don't actually know where he is. They know he's back there, but they can't really do a whole lot about it, so they're afraid to spread themselves too thin, lest he go for a back cap, and now Silver Surgeon's going to come out from both sides, and even playing ground as No Smite will rejoin the fray here. Feast of the Abyss now going to come out from Tuba. It's on to Proxy, and the Elim does come through. Good stuff was traded out for Quasit, a strat for a strat. You got to find more if you want to keep this cart rolling. Tuba taking down 6, that's what you need, and No Smite letting the fist fly, taking down 2 on the other side. Make it a triple there for No Smite, and that's going to be enough to get this cart rolling again, but there's still 1, potentially 2 fights for Rival Esports to stop this cart. If they're quick, it's looking like it's going to be one long stagger fight, but AAAd, I don't know if they have the tools to be able to get this the rest of the way. Alyssa coming up on this Dance with the Butterfly, but he needs it now.
Yeah, this dance has to be absolutely huge here. Just a few seconds of overtime left, but a few meters left to go here. Race to the finish. HK Mario lets the Beast of the Abyss fly right off the bat here. Winsker on the invisible boundary, but the pick they did not want to see. Illicit taken down by 6 on the Phoenix here with just a couple of seconds of overtime left. Not what you want to see, and it is a long walk back at the very end here for the attackers. AAAd, nobody still standing on the point. No Smite trying to continue being the hero for the team here as Rocco will find a pick. That forces out a lot of ults here from Rival Esports. They're overhead with the rage, but on the ground, Quasit, Shark in the water with a second of overtime left. 6 will find 1 off the in-song. Inferno will take down the Jeff here, but AAAd coming up huge here. They are all in the KO feed. It all turns blue here, and with just 1 second of overtime left. HK Mario, the last one standing for Rival, but that symbiotic resilience can't buy him all the time in the world, and AAAd will send it to sudden death.
They had no business doing so, though, by the way. They absolutely should have lost that fight, because not only was Illicit not there with the Dance of the Butterfly when he needed it to be, but so much pressure was coming out from the front line that the strategists from AAAd were completely forced back into a cubby where they didn't have LOS of any of the Vanguards, any of the remaining members of their team, and it is a miracle that there wasn't a C9, that there was still forward presence, and that AAAd were able to not only survive, but regain composure, come back, and then make a play before Illicit even pops the Dance of the Butterfly. Homie came back and did it in the neutral, found the elims he needed, and brought AAAd the rest of the way. Museum of Contemplation is not over. We have got a game on our hands, folks. We have got a map, and we have got a chance for both teams to get their name on the board here. AAAd could go 2-0 on the day, or Rival Esports could snuff out that hope and take us to a map number 3. Either way, I'm sat.
Yeah, I mean, what a match. No matter how this map ends up here, you know, I swore up and down as soon as I saw Illicit go offline that it was over and we were going to map 3. So props to AAAd. Heads up play from them for sure. Their one duelist goes offline. They play right on through. But this is truly sudden death for both of these teams. They both clear the map in overtime, so all they have is 60 seconds to push this thing as far as possible. There are no time refreshes in extra rounds. So, yeah, I don't think I can think of a better term than sudden death here. Rival Esports on the attack first. AAAd, one more defense to try and close it out.
No Smite getting swept up there on the high ground. Interesting angle, though. He wants to try and deny the high ground from the likes of Rival Esports. Not let the Venom get up there. Not let them stage a dive. He's under so much pressure and trying to be the sole survivor up there. Meanwhile, Tuba holding the fort down over here. Mag Cannon goes a little bit wide, but it's still enough to force Rival Esports back. They're playing a little bit scared. They don't want to be the first one to make a mistake and have AAAd clap down on them. And even less than that, AAAd don't want to fall and give up too much of this cart so that they can't match it with the timer when we flip sides here. But so far, a stalemate from both sides. Lumi not going to be able to ore farm this time around. Gets checked, trying to go for that flank play.
Yeah, I like the tenacity there to go after the same play as before, but they were ready for it here. And yeah, one slip here could send the whole map sideways for either side of the board here. Halfway to checkpoint number 1 is Rival Esports as they are going to take it into overtime here. And now Illicit going to get on the board. 1 KO on to 6 to start things off here as AAAd are going to try to close it out here. No Smite picking up right where they left off last round. 1 KO for the cap here and looking for even more here. Actually chasing the Ultron down as he is low to the ground here. Invisible boundary coming down for AAAd, and Illicit again will find one. Aya Nagamoto goes through, does stun the back line of AAAd, but they will play right on through it, and that is the end of Rival's run here. Halfway to checkpoint number 1 is all AAA has got to do to close out this map.
And I want to say that's not bad for only having 1 minute in the time bank, but it still kind of feels like it's so easily achievable for AAAd. I don't know. With what we've seen on Museum of Contemplation all day long, I'm still not ready to call this a dub for AAAd. I need to see something quick and something explosive come out from them. Otherwise, I think Rival Esports still have a chance to hold this, right? Like, I think there is still that little bit of hope there unless AAAd really come out swinging. Illicit, though, on the defensive side was absolutely swinging with that Phoenix, finding so many shots onto HK Mario and even finding a headshot there onto 6, shutting down that Punisher play that would have come through. And I think that shot there onto 6 was what snuffed out the entire momentum of the attack. You can maybe point to about 1,000 other things because a lot of things happened in rapid succession there, but for me at least, being able to shut down that damage was what started the snowball rolling downhill and stopped the cart from getting around that second corner there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with Museum of Contemplation, you don't see a lot of full-speed offense charges right out the gate where they get a ton of distance off the first play. It always seems like there's a big tug of war to start things off until offense can find a breakthrough. So it is kind of like every single meter really does matter because it can be a pretty slow opening on a Museum of Contemplation. But how poetic. AAAd here yet again on a potential match point on a Museum of Contemplation, looking to close this thing out, looking to prove that they're winning against Reject was not just a fluke. They have definitely shown some big plays here for sure, and No Smite is going to take the fight right to Rival here on the Captain America and let the rest of the team push that card on.
But they are happy to take that fight to him. Quazid finding 6 there, and that is a no-go there. Losing out on your Deadpool that early on. He's got to make the swap over onto the Dr. Strange just to get the teleport play. There's still some room here for Rival Esports, but it is quickly dwindling. And even though they find the Elim onto No Smite, doesn't matter. He's Captain America, and his spawn is approximately 6 feet away. He'll be back, mark my words.
And Liel, huge pick on the invis there, shutting down Illicit for a few seconds, and when you only got 15 on the clock, those few seconds to respawn are absolutely massive. Most of AAAd standing here on the point as the portal from 6 does come through with just 10 seconds left to go. AAAd can see the finish line there. Overhead, I did see potentially High Nagamoto coming through, but stopped maybe. But now AAAd gonna find the breakthrough here. Tuba on the Dr. Strange, getting 1 KO onto the White Fox here, trying to open that door to victory here. Illicit back in action, will find HK Mario. That's 2 members of Rival's shutdown. Liel throws down the invisible boundary. That's the support ult they've got here. Soul Resurgence so close to being charged up for Rival, but they are picking off AAAd one at a time here. Zeph goes low, but able to survive. Proxies, double KO on the Mantis here as AAAd don't have too many bodies left. They've got a couple ultimates charged up though, so they've got some tools to try and stay in this overtime fight, but they have not made any progress yet. Rival has stopped them dead in their tracks. Eye of Agamotto from Tuba goes huge. 3 members of Rival stunned, but none of them shut down all the way. Dance of the Butterflies comes through for Illicit here. Does find 1 KO onto Proxies. Big pick there for AAAd as well, but the Mantises are traded left and right by both of these teams here. It is chaos, but AAAd have the body advantage now. Nobody for Rival can stand up to them now. Overtime, just a second or 2 left, but AAAd trying to finish off HK on this Venom here. Lives with that symbiotic resilience, but cannot survive the onslaught here, and AAAd will win yet another Museum of Contemplation.
Full credit to Rival, though. They really made them work for it. Every single inch was scratched and clawed for, but in extra innings, 4-3 just barely will be the scoreline. AAAD go 2-0 on the match and 2-0 on the day. No asterisks on this one, no C9s required, and I mean, I also got to give credit to AAAd. They learned from Reject's mistakes. They stayed glued to that point all throughout, even when it felt like they had no business still being on it. And a not insignificant part of that is have a look at that number in the final hits column for Illicit. That is 32. 3-2. All right, that's insane. We are hitting LeBron numbers at this point in time. You give Illicit the ball, it doesn't matter whether it's the Daredevil, whether it's the Phoenix, whether it's the Psylocke, he is going to hit the dunk every single time. And 21 final hits on the other side for 6, nothing to sneeze at, but the fact that we're looking at 21 on one side and 32 on the other just shows you how tooth and nail this map was.
Yeah, I mean, 32 final hits, that's from one map. That's like a number I'd hit after a whole night of being in queue. I mean, insane stuff here for AAAd. Definitely pulling through here and proving that that win against Reject, not just a fluke. If they didn't C9, they might have still been able to just push right on through in a straight up fight against them. Credit where credit is due, though. Rival pushed them to the limits here on Museum of Contemplation. Took them all the way to that sudden death showdown, and even in sudden death, for a moment there, it looked like AAAd were about to fly off the rails. So absolutely no shade to Rival's side here as they put up a serious fight, but AAAd win their second match of the night and go to 3-1 overall. A very, very impressive record.
And, you know, the middle of the pack, like we said, you can go up or you can go down. One of these two teams going up, and two of them now that we know of heading more downward. It's AAAd that are slowly climbing up to the top of the pack and, you know, going to be finding themselves amongst the Zero Tenacities and the Pirates before long. And we'll also have to face some of those, and it's going to be Rival Esports and Reject at their hand, trending downward and starting to get into that danger zone where things as wide open as they are with MLX getting their on board with Loyalty having the potential to make a comeback. You want to try and get some of these wins to stop them from nipping at your heels if you want to have playoff hopes. You got to keep it alive. You got to turn around now. And like you said, to your credit, full credit to Rival. I do think they have the stuff. I think they're finding their identity. I think there's a lot of good stuff that you can look at here. Both Six and Lumi were standouts to me this series, especially Lumi on Museum of Contemplation. And I think that map also does look like a strong point for Rival. So I think there is hope, but they got to get it together and they got to get that motion started sooner rather than later because we are running out of time, my friends.
Yeah, I mean, week one almost in the books here, so not a lot of matches left on the schedule for these teams to turn it around. But seeing our AAAd now lies in the standings 3-1, one of the best records in the region, you know, maybe not as daunting of a loss for a Rival to take here. I mean, again, that Museum of Contemplation so close, and I have to imagine, you know, if it was another team, there's a very good chance that Rival would close it out. So many just micro moments where it could have gone their way, and we could be looking at a map 3. So, you know, definitely 1 and 2 is what Rival stands at now. They're gonna have to turn things around next week, but, you know, a lot of bright spots for them. Again, like you said, Six and Lumi, definitely the standouts on that team, and it feels like they are coming together to play together a lot better. But again, it is AAAd that'll take the win here, and we'll hear from them in just a moment. But what a night for this MRC qualifier team.
Yeah, you know, they come out of MRC, again, you know, I've talked about it a few times. They still have the accolade of being the last team in history, you know, the most recent team in history to take a single map off of Pirates in a best-of-7 series at the end of MRC Season 6. And even though that was more or less Pirates' map to win there, and they ended up taking out the whole series quite decisively, that's still something. You know, they have still made those gods bleed and have proven that they can make anybody bleed in this tournament. In fact, they are going to be near the top of the pecking order, and deservedly so. You know, second place in MRC, that's nothing to sneeze at, and they might even be able to get themselves a better accolade than that. If they come correct, there is a world where, you know, maybe they take more than one map off of Pirates. Maybe they take 2. Maybe they take 3. Maybe in a best-of-7 series in a grand finals, they take 4, and then, you know, they're no longer rocking that silver medal. They come in with the gold.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the trajectory they're on right now. You know, still gonna have to clear up who exactly rises above the top, and now I feel like AAAd has thrown yet another wrench in that question of who is the top team, and maybe Reject's loss earlier tonight has also kind of muddied the water. But, you know, we're definitely starting to get a clearer picture, right? We know AAAd is somewhere near the top, Pirates very high up there, and potentially Zero Tenacity somewhere up there as well. We'll find out, you know, in our last match of the night. But, you know, the Asia region, definitely a lot of movement here tonight alone. But again, one more week of preseason left, so picture not totally clear, but it's starting to come into focus who is going to playoffs and who will be the powerhouses here coming out of Pac Asia in 2026.
I kind of want to disagree because I don't know if the picture is any clearer after today. I think AAAd have just muddied the waters. Like, so far, I'm coming out here with more questions than answers. Like, I kind of thought this would be, you know, more or less cut and dry. You know, the teams that we expect to be on top will come out on top. No, not the case. I mean, in this series, we kind of expected AAAd to win just because we had a little bit more faith in them, and Rival Esports still had some question marks surrounding them, but we're starting to learn more about that roster. We're starting to learn what they are capable of, and AAAd, we're starting to figure out just about where their ceiling is and if they can continue to push that ceiling ever upward as they have today. And we will find out in just a little bit here. We do have an interview coming up, and Diatonic, I want to, I'm going to spoil it for the class here. You had a wish in the break that, oh, I want to talk to No Smite again. You're getting your wish, my friend. We're going to be interviewing No Smite as soon as we got him on the horn.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked to him earlier tonight, he did say that he was not happy with his own performance. So, I got a question right at the front of my mind to start off the interview with. We'll see what he thinks about how he played there, especially that map 1 performance on the cap. But yeah, at the beginning of the night, this could have gone a couple different ways for AAAd. They're coming away with a very successful night, a lot to be proud of for this team, but it could have gone a very, very different direction, a much darker path for this team here. But, they rose to the occasion. They took on the Asia partner team. They came out with a win. They took on another returning roster rival to Ignite here, and they took out the win with no questions on that one. So, a great night for sure. A lot to be happy with, but, as I think a lot of players come in with the philosophy, this is just week 1. Job's not done.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's got to be a weight off your shoulders, though, for AAAd, because, we talk about how this night could have gone completely differently had they lost that matchup earlier today to Reject. Maybe this ended up being them coming in feeling like they got to make something happen, feeling like they got to get that win in order to keep themselves in contention for that top spot. And, maybe they slip up, maybe they make mistakes, maybe the pressure gets to them. That's not the world we live in. They got that weight off of their shoulders early on tonight and then came in, played their game, and they ran away with it. And I am so excited because we are ready. We have got No Smite on the horn once again, and we get to ask him all about it. Let's get him in here. Hello. Good to see you again. It feels like just a little bit ago. Hello.
So, I want to ask, No Smite, how would you say your individual performance was this game?
I think I did well when I play Captain America, I think, yeah.
Yeah, your Captain America is so strong. I love to watch you play Cav.
Yeah.
Do you think it was do you think your performance was better than the match earlier today against Reject?
Yeah. 100% sure.
All right. Well, you said last time that Illicit and Tuba were your standout teammates. Do you think they are still your standout teammates this time?
Yeah, they did well. True. I think, but everyone did well this match, I think.
Yeah, I would say so too. Your whole team is so strong. In game 2, Museum of Contemplation, the last map, it was very difficult, extra rounds, your sudden death. How did you communicate during the last few seconds of the game?
In last few seconds, we tried to calm down and try to stay alive and focus more. I think we focused more than enemy team, I think.
Yeah, I could tell, definitely. It seems like you guys were so calm and collected, and yeah, very, very nice win. Such a strong team. I love to watch you guys play.
Thank you so much again for joining us. It was good to see you again, and I can't wait to see you guys next time around. Thank you again. Goodbye, No Smite.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.